Hey guys, welcome to another New Shooter Series 2-minute tech tip. So this one is going to be on your rods, your range rod, the RAMROD that comes on your gun, the differences between the two and why you may use one or the other. I know there's a lot of you guys, newish guys, who use a metal range rod like this one, jag on the end, bore protector, handle made out of steel or brass, and that's what you're comfortable using, and you're afraid to use the wooden ramrod that comes on your gun for fear of breaking it. And they are fragile, but there is a best practice that will allow you to use this rod and not have to worry about breaking it. So let's get into that. So typically what you would do, right? Load your powder, load your patch and ball, put your starter down, bang it home, and now grab a rod. Typically your range rod. Muzzle protector, beautiful thing. Slide it in, get that muzzle protector, protecting your muzzle, keeping that range rod centered, reaching way up here, 4 or 5 feet, however long your wingspan is, and whipping it down. Couple pulls and she's down. Give her a couple gentle taps, whatever your process is. Pull her out, set her to the side, and you're ready to go. So I do that a lot when I'm at the range. There's no question. It's a best practice for on the range for 9 out of 10 times. But when I'm at the range, I use the range rod. But when I'm not at the range, I don't carry that rod around. And the reason I don't is because the rod that comes on this gun works just as well. So this is my Saudi. So this rod is about 0.3. That is a thin, wispy rod. And there's no way that I would load powder, patch ball, bang it home, take this rod, put it in, and rear way up on it like I do with that range rod. And that's where people get in trouble with using particularly a skinny, small caliber rod. So here we are. We've got the short starter starting at about 4 inches. And understand what that short starter is doing is it's conforming that ball and that patch to your rifling. So that's the hardest part of getting it down right there, is getting it started, getting it imprinted with that rifling. So instead of reaching way up here, because this is what happens, they reach way up like this and they pull this little rod, bows, snaps, and they impale themselves with the pointy end of this broken rod. So what we want to do is, even if it's hand over hand, you're going to start right here, 6 inches down, all the way down. There's nothing wrong with that. You get it down, seat it home, pull her out, put her right back in. Now, if you do rear up, there's a good chance it's going to break. And if it's not straight grained, if the grain runs out, then it's going to break at this angle and you're going to impale yourself. Now, I know that's the fear of using these, especially these small caliber ones. But don't worry about that if you are starting from about a foot up down, because you're getting no flex, you're getting no bow, and depending on how hard it is to load, I start like this. Down I go, right? If it's a little easier to load, I may grab it a foot up here, but there's no way I'm grabbing it up here. No way. There's too much risk here, and I've broken them before. I've used the ramrod all day, the range rod all day, decided I was going to use this one, didn't think about it, grabbed way up here, pushed a little cockeyed, because you can see that bends, pushed a little cockeyed and snap. Didn't impale myself, but I still broke my rod and had to make a new one. So that's it. Just grab it down low and just seat it. Now, another tip that you need to do is, once you're down on your powder charge, you need to know how much of this rod is sticking out with a fully seated ball. That way, if you go down on shot number 3 and it's trying to seat right here and won't go any further, you know you've got an air gap down there. So lots you can do to get that down. Knife handle, you can use a short starter, get it on home. But you know, if it does that you've got some buildup down just forward of where the ball sets, and you need to go ahead and swab that out, get that cleaned out. Or else, you know, pushing, especially when they've got a tapered tip like this, pushing on that, it's a good way to bruise your hand up. So use that starter, use your knife handle, get it tapped down. If you've got multiple guns, you need to mark that rod. If you just got one, just make a mental note. When it's fully seated, you know, you've got 3/4 of an inch of rod sticking out. So whenever you seat it, there's your 3/4, you know you're good to go. You don't have to think twice about it. But multiple guns, if you can't remember, don't shoot them enough, just give it a mark. A little tick on the side at that point, give a little tick with a knife, and then hit it with some Sharpie and rub it off, and that Sharpie will stay in that cut and give you a little black line across there. Doesn't take any, you know, rocket science. But don't be afraid of the wooden rod that comes on the gun. It works. It worked for hundreds of years. It'll work for you. Just don't rear up on it. Grab it right here, work it down. Nothing to it. See you guys.